On May 29, 1453, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II rode through the gates of Constantinople, a city that had served as the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire for over 1,000 years had finally fallen. He steered his horse directly toward the Hagia Sophia. Dismounting outside the great church, Mehmed picked up a handful of earth and poured it over his own head, in a gesture of humility before God. Then he ordered the building converted into a mosque. Mehmed was 21 years old. In a single morning, he had achieved what generations of Muslim leaders had attempted and failed to do for nearly a millennium. This topographical map outlines the ultimate scale of the empire he inherited. The Ottomans ruled for over 6 centuries. At their peak, their territory spanned 3 continents, stretching from the Hungarian plains in the northwest to the Persian Gulf in the southeast. But the most enduring political geography of the region was forged in the wreckage of its collapse. The modern borders of the Middle East were drawn by European powers out of the former Ottoman territory. Those specific lines have served as the exact sites for many of the past century's most persistent conflicts. The Ottoman story began far to the east. They were a Turkic people, pushed westward from Central Asia into Anatolia during the intense Mongol disruptions of the 13th century. Their founder, Osman I, started as a minor border chief, but as the neighboring Byzantine state weakened, his forces captured territory, crossing into Europe and establishing a permanent capital at Edirne by the 1350s. To manage this rapid expansion, the state relied on the devshirme. Under this system, young Christian boys were taken from their families in the Balkans. They were converted to Islam, placed in the imperial palace, and subjected to years of strict education and military training. These boys were funneled into the elite Janissary infantry corps. Many rose to become grand viziers, the chief ministers of the state. One of the largest political structures in the world was entirely governed and defended by slave soldiers and slave officials. This diagram illustrates the millet system, their method for managing an enormously diverse civilian population. Non-Muslims, like the Greek Orthodox, Armenian, and Jewish communities, managed their own internal affairs through their respective religious institutions, all operating under Ottoman sovereignty. This governing framework reached its maximum extent under Suleiman the Magnificent. He took the throne in 1520 and ruled for 46 years. Under his direction, the army conquered Hungary and integrated North Africa. Back in the capital, Suleiman systematized civil law, while his court cultivated poetry, philosophy, and architectural design that rivaled any contemporary state. The synthesis of the rigid devshirme administration and the autonomous millet system proved highly effective. It successfully organized a population of roughly 30 million people. The empire's decline stretched from the late 16th century until its dissolution in 1922. As European nations rapidly industrialized, the Ottoman state struggled to modernize its own institutions. Internally, the once formidable Janissary Corps became deeply corrupt. They violently resisted military reforms, evolving from the empire's greatest asset into a source of instability. By the 19th century, nationalist movements were erupting across Ottoman territories in Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria, Romania, and Armenia. The state responded to these independence movements with lethal suppression. This brutal approach culminated in the genocide of 1915 to 1923. Through mass executions, forced death marches, and starvation, the government killed an estimated 600,000 to 1.5 million Armenians. An inability to update their governing framework had resulted in mass violence against their own subjects. Today, the Turkish government continues to deny the event, while a growing number of international bodies officially recognize it as genocide. The outbreak of World War I presented the final crisis. Seeking to recover lost territories, the Ottoman government chose to align with Germany and the Central Powers. The military gamble failed. In defeat, the vast Arab provinces to the south were left completely vulnerable to foreign division. This map shows the result of the 1916 Sykes-Picot Agreement. British and French diplomats literally used rulers to divide Syria, Iraq, Palestine, and Transjordan between themselves. They paid minimal attention to the ethnic, religious, and tribal realities on the ground. The precise lines they negotiated became the official borders of the modern Middle East. Out of the core territory in Anatolia, a military officer named Mustafa Kemal, later known as Atatürk, led the Turkish War of Independence, successfully expelling the occupying Allied forces. The Ottoman Sultanate was officially abolished in 1922. The Republic of Turkey was established the following year. But the geography drawn in the empire's absence remained. Those foreign-imposed borders have been the site of conflicts in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Palestine for a century. It leaves a lingering historical question: what the Arab world might look like today if it had developed its own political institutions, rather than having European geography superimposed over it. When Mehmed II poured earth on his head in 1453, the empire he secured lasted another 469 years. We are still living inside the political geography it left behind. Next time, MKUltra, the CIA's real mind control program. We look into the agency's use of LSD experiments on unwitting subjects, hypnosis research, and psychological torture. It was a classified program the government operated for decades and then desperately tried to destroy the evidence of. Despite a frantic attempt to shred the files, a cache of surviving documents forced the agency to testify before Congress, confirming the program's existence as a matter of public record.